how to get the most out of this full moon in Gemini on December 7th or 8th, 2022. For me, the most exciting part of this moon is the purpose, is our deeper purposes, our higher purposes, our like soul callings, our missions, our dharma, our destiny. Right now, while this full moon is active, we have the North Node, which I've been talking about that a lot, but North Node is future potentials, where you're headed to. It's your destiny. It's the top of your destiny line. We've got the North Node conjunct the asteroid Kali, conjunct Uranus. I love this. I love it. To me, it's giving us this kind of overarching theme of, may all that we uncover in this full moon, which full moons are very illuminating, they shine a light on things, especially with a full moon in Gemini. Full moon in Gemini, it's the mind, right? So it's the mind can comprehend, and we can think, instead of it being another sign like, I don't know, like a body-based sign where, yeah, that's great, the body wisdom is active, but many of us are not attuned to hearing body wisdom. However, when things are in Gemini, most of us have very well-developed minds because of the societies that we live in. And so when it's a full moon in Gemini, there's a lot of illumination in ways that we can comprehend. So just keep that in mind during this full moon, is that if we can let our mind roam, let our minds wander, let our minds think bigger, let our minds work on solutions. It's a good time. I know I'm usually preaching like, no mind, no mind, no mind, get out of the mind. There's deeper wisdom centers, go to the other places. But this is actually a time where we're going to want to invite the mind to be a translator to deeper wisdom. Invite the mind to really wire itself to, we just did a huge practice on this in our monthly membership, Bones. Let our own mind wire into divine mind or universal mind or greater mind. It's a very powerful practice. So if I were to give you a practice for this full moon, one of them would be that. Very much so, especially where Neptune is at in the sky, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. But Neptune kind of helps to, does many, many things, but kind of helps to break up routine thought patterns, helps to break up limited ways of thinking. There's also Jupiter squaring Mercury. So this is more around breaking up limited ways of thinking. With Jupiter's expansion, it's bigger. So you want to think bigger, expand the mind. So allowing the mind, there's so many insights to be had here. This is a full moon where you'll really want to let the mind be involved, even if it's just as a translator to what you went into in meditation, or as a translator to something that you're deeply reflecting on. Right? So spiritual practices are powerful right now, given what Neptune's doing. Neptune is just stationing to go direct. So very on the 3rd, so just a little bit before this moon. But when these big, slow outer planets station, there's days on either side of the actual day that it stations, which means it's just shifting directions. Not actually shifting directions, but energetically. Know that it's a potent time, a couple days on either side of the 3rd, where Neptune's really, really active. Plus, Neptune is still, it's a bit wide, but Neptune is still, sorry, I'm just looking over at my chart here. Neptune is still squaring Mars. Here's the cool part. Mars is conjunct this full moon. Yeah. Remember all this Gemini energy. So if you listen to the last new moon, by the way, watching that new moon video can be powerful because we're in the same lunar cycle. So the new moon kicks it off, full moon is culmination, and then we go into kind of the final phase of this lunation cycle before we hit the next new moon. So if you want more on it, check out the links above or the links below. It's a great video to go watch if you haven't seen it. Even if you have, might refresh your mind on stuff. But this Gemini, so let's talk Gemini energy a little bit. You're probably getting a sense of just the way that I'm talking to you is very Geminian, where it's over here, then we're over here, then we're bouncing over here, then we're moving over here, then we're connecting the dots in this way, and then it's over here. It's Gemini is the capacity of mental agility. It's the twins. It's the sign of the twins. A little bit of challenging stuff comes with a moon in Gemini in that it can be, do I do this or do I do that? I don't know. I can see both sides. Do I do this or do I do that? Can also be, sometimes this is strange, with Mars in Gemini. So remember, Mars and the moon are conjunct in Gemini. With Mars in Gemini, our doer, that Mars is our action taker. We do things, we take action. It's warrior energy, like I am a warrior for this. It's very direction oriented. So this is my mission, this is where I'm aiming toward. Now I want to weave that into purpose in a moment, right? We just talked about that North Node Kali. Again, Geminian, right? Bouncing all over the place. It might be super fucking annoying, but that's Gemini energy. That's this moon energy. And so if you can let your mind kind of do a little bit of what I'm doing, at least to the capacity that you feel comfortable doing it, insights can come, and they will come from like left field, or they'll come from over here, or they'll come in a very Geminian way. It doesn't mean that you have to be fast-paced or annoying or anything like that, but I'm kind of just trying to open up the door for that energy to gift you instead of annoy you. Something that you can do with Gemini energy is you can turn on almost this like inner discernment piece. So here's practice number 2 for this moon, is turn on the inner discernment and let your thoughts really go, or let information come in. Gemini is also about information. Let social media things come in, conversations with other people. Let information come in and distill it, discern, right? This can be very powerful, is to turn on the discernment of what's important for me in this conversation. And you can do it right now. Like you could do it with this video, because maybe what I say at minute 20 will be the thing that really strikes a chord, right? So if you turn on the discernment and you just go, okay, holding that intention of let the things that really resonate, the things that I'm really meant to hear, let those really sink in. Let those hit me hard. That's something you can do during this Gemini full moon, a couple days either side, and just let information come in. Like I just got maybe 4 text messages this morning. There was one of the 4 that was like, ooh, pay attention, pay attention. So feeling for that, pay attention. Like the inner wisdom, the inner wise person, wise man, wise woman, wise person, right? Let that be switched on during this full moon of, that's important. That's important. This is a powerful time for seeing, for the important things to be illuminated, for the breadcrumb trail. So let's dance back over to North Node. North Node conjunct Kali and conjunct Uranus. Breadcrumb trail. When we're in this discernment piece of like what's meant for us, what are we meant to hear, what really serves to hear, this is weaving in a, here's what you're meant to see, what's meant to be illuminated during a full moon for you, that supports your destiny, that supports your highest purpose, your highest unfolding. It's a time for us to be able to get out of ego and move into soul, get out of false self and into true self, and to really feel into what really lights me up, what really inspires me, what really fills me, what's really fulfilling. I think this is an amazing moon to have going into the new year. I think it's so beautiful and powerful and stunning to be getting some of these insights if we hold the doors open to them, right? And if we give some space for them, which is why I create these videos for you, is to hopefully give you some tools to be able to do that. But to create the space for, what wants to be illuminated? Where am I being called? What is my greater act of service? There's a service piece happening as well in the energetics, like how may I be of the greatest service? And service as a way of, as I serve, I am being filled, right? If I am in alignment with my purpose and I'm shining my light in whatever way is true for me, in alignment with my purpose, that is the thing that fills me. That is the thing that brings me joy. Follow your bliss, Joseph Campbell. That is the thing that brings me that bliss and that fulfillment from a deep soul place. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about Kali and Uranus on the North Node. So that is helping us to move out of false self into true self. Kali is ego slayer, right? Kali is false self slayer. Kali is an archetypal energy constantly inviting us to wake up to soul self, to wake up to our greatness, to wake up to true self. And so you've got this warrior. Here's some of that warrior energy. I've been talking about sacred warrior. Like, this is very much sacred warrior energy. We've got this sacred warrior energy on your true north. That's powerful. A sacred warrior standing on your true north with a sword of truth, saying, this is what's for you, this is not what's for you, right? This is your direction, this is not your direction. That's a great spot to lean into. I know some of you have like the Kali online retreat or the Dark Goddess workshop. If you don't, you can find a link to the Dark Goddess workshop. Kali online retreat's not always open, but the Dark Goddess workshop is. And that's a place where you could go to work in that energy, really allowing that sacred warrior energy, that archetypal energy, that Shakti, that goddess energy, to really come in and support you stepping into deeper alignment. It's really just stepping into deeper alignment. Next, Uranus energy. So Uranus energy on the North Node. So we've got sacred warrior as Kali on your North Node, true North. And then we've got Uranus there. Uranus is revolutionary and is about be your unique self. Fly your freak flag, be your unique self. Let's do it new. There's a different way to do it. It's revolutionary. And Uranus is also about the greater good. So it's this very impersonal, it's about the greater good, and it brings in a level of service. Like, yes, it's rebellious. Yes, it's bringing in the new, but it's very Aquarian related. And we're moving into the Aquarian age. I talked a lot about that in the last video. If you want to hear about that, again, go watch the new moon video for this particular lunar cycle. But when we feel into this Uranian piece of it's that our greatest self-expression comes from a selfless act of service. Like, oftentimes our truest potentials and our greatest potentials, our truest expressions, our most fulfilling soul purposes comes from a very selfless act of service. It's as if it comes through us to be of service, and that's the action that brings us everything that we want. I know that's a little bit wild sounding, but that's the action that brings us what it is that we long for. Maybe it's the happiness, or maybe it's the connection, or it's the all of the things that we long for. A lot of times it's not actually seeking to fulfill that. It's seeking to serve, and that just gets fulfilled. Seeking, let's not say serve, seeking to be in alignment, like seeking to fulfill that true north, and all of those little wants and desires and needs, they just get filled. Okay, I know that's a little bit up here, but that's okay. Take what serves and throw the rest away. All right, let's talk a little bit more about Mars. So Mars is warrior energy. I would put Kali up in a higher archetypal level. So I would put her as more of a sacred warrior, right? She's a little bit of a higher octave, more spiritual, very much to do with slaying the ego and having you step into sacred warrior, your destiny, your dharma, like very high level spiritual warrior. Whereas Mars is more ego warrior, which is great. We need them both. There's nothing wrong with a lower archetypal energy. They're very powerful. And so when we start to feel into Mars, it's more daily life. It's more accessible. And there's trappings here though, like trappings around, we could potentially be going to war for things of the ego. And I'm sure we can all see this in the world in different places, right? But where can we see it in our own lives? Where am I going to war for something that's really not soul fulfilling? That's a really powerful question during this full moon. Mars is retrograde currently in Gemini, right? The mind. So the mind is activated. We get to think things. We get to comprehend things. And being retrograde, we get to like take a step back and review. Like review decisions we've made. Review what we've been going to war for. And even if that's our daily life, like I'm going to war for my family. And it doesn't have to be war. That's just kind of a Mars languaging. But here's what I stand for. That's another Mars. This is what I stand for. This is where I pour my energy. This is what I give. This is what I give my life force to every day. These are very powerful questions to ask ourselves right now during this full moon, and almost where am I giving energy that's very ego based, or that's very false self based, or those words might not be the best words for you. Where am I giving energy that maybe used to be true, but it's not true now? Or if I were going to step out of, or if I were going to step closer to my highest purpose, where would I then put my energy every day? These are really beautiful questions. They're questions we explore in Bones. So for those of you who are in Bones, that's our monthly membership. We go deep into this. We do big practices around this. And so I know that this is sounding heady. And you might be like, Sabrina, I am hearing you. I don't know how to do that. If you want a place to practice that, a very guided journey into working the raw energetics of that true north line of this inner sacred warrior, and to really be accessing higher purposes, higher potentials, higher callings, that's a great place to do it. It's $47 a month, right? It's nothing. There's a special on the year-long membership. You get 2 months for free, right? It's something that, for me, going into the new year is to support the sacred warrior in all of us, to support what it is that we're called to step into in our lives, right? I read this line out in the workshop actually, and I love it. And I want to share it with you because I think it's something that can gift you in this full moon. Your destiny is not to find your purpose. It's to become your purpose. Your destiny is not to find your purpose. It is to become your purpose. And that's the space that you can work in this full moon. That's the space we work in that workshop in Bones. Again, links below, links up here. But really feeling into, instead of I'm seeking, can you feel that energy? It's always outside of you. It's always outside of you. You're always like running towards something. I'm actually becoming it. It's a constant becoming. It's a constant becoming. It's a constant unfolding, a constant becoming of my purpose. I just am it. And can you feel the embodiment of that? Feel the difference of that, of I just am it. I am the embodiment. I am becoming. And that's the path. It's a constant becoming. I am it. I am it. I am it. I am it. This is a moment in time to also feel into the Sagittarius sun supports this. So when there's a Gemini full moon, opposite that is the Sagittarius sun. And the Sagittarius sun is very supportive to this whole kind of theme that we've been talking about around, let me say this. This is what reminded me of Sag energy, was follow your bliss, right? That's so Sagittarian. Follow your bliss. Joseph Campbell, follow your bliss. And that was him talking about your purpose. like really finding your purpose in the moment. It's follow your bliss, follow your bliss, follow your bliss. And of course, there's more to it. You can also follow what lights you up. You can follow what fires you up. In the workshop we just did, follow what really gets you, because sometimes our purpose or clues to our higher purpose is held in what really fires you up. Yeah, I think that's all I want to share on that, because I'll go off on a whole tangent and I'll end up taking y'all into workshop space in a moment. But let me just have a look at the chart really quick. Here's another piece that I definitely want to weave in. It's more dark goddess. So Kali is dark goddess energy. For those of you who've been around for a while, you know, like my love for the dark goddesses. I've done so many of those archetypal workshops and retreats and held those spaces. Reason being, working in those archetypal realms is a way to really uncover hidden parts of self. Not just hidden parts of self that hold us back, like unconscious upper limits or old unhealed wounds that hold us back, but also uncovering hidden gifts, uncovering. We did another thing in this workshop today. I just keep bringing up the workshop because it's so much about this energy, but we were calling in, it was like soul retrieval, right? But not soul retrieval of lost parts of self. It's more calling in parts of self that we're ready to embody now. So feel into that. That's powerful at this full moon too, is parts of self in my becoming of my purpose, right? My destiny is not to seek my purpose, it is to become my purpose. In the becoming of it, it's now who I am today. I'm ready to call this part of me and I'm ready to activate this gift. I'm ready for this new calling, this new purpose, this new passion, this new hidden capacity in myself, this new way of letting life create itself through me, right? Whatever it is, that's powerful during this moon. It's such a stunning moon. Oh my gosh, I hope you go for it during this window of time in whatever way that means for you. If it's joining Bones and doing that workshop with us, yes. If it's some other sort of meditative practice or some other guided way into this territory, like just, I mean, really and truly find some space to drop into this. I know it's the holidays. Okay, let me talk a little bit more about Dark Goddess. So we've got an aspect right now, Pluto. We just came out of Scorpio season, right? Scorpio season and eclipse season. It's oftentimes like shadow, like underworld territory, bringing the unconscious into consciousness, bringing the light into the dark, those sorts of things. And Pluto is very much associated with Scorpio energy. I know when we go into Sag season, everyone's like, oh, thank God we're out of Scorpio season. However, Pluto is currently opposite Black Moon Lilith, which is a very powerful dark goddess point in the sky. Many people just say it's Lilith, that archetypal energy. But for me, working experientially and holding space in that experientially, it's very much more, at least how this shows up experientially, is a conglomeration of the dark goddesses, is that particular point. So Black Moon, just to me, it's Black Moon, it's Kali, it's Lilith, it's Medusa, it's Durga, it's Black Madonna, it's all the dark goddess energy kind of held in that point. It's powerful. Is opposite Pluto. And so if there was an archetypal match in the skies that could hold, or could that could match that particular level of dark goddess energy, it would be dark god. It would be god of the underworld, Hades, Pluto. So the perfectly opposite. This is stunning. It's powerful. It can be tough, but they're opposite each other. The other fun little thing is that conjunct Pluto. So right next to Pluto is Medusa. I love it. Another dark goddess, right? As if there wasn't enough dark goddess stuff going on in the skies. Medusa is right next to Pluto. How do I feel this is? I feel that this really supports the overarching theme. To me, if I had to say an overarching theme, it's the mind is active. We're illuminating our choices. We're illuminating our path forward. We're illuminating decisions that we've made. We're illuminating decisions we need to make. We're illuminating, for some of us, a higher path. We're illuminating warrior. It's very warrior at the moment. With the moon conjunct Mars, we don't get to escape the fact that it's warrior. But it's what level of warrior are you stepping into? Is it going to be sacred warrior, or is it going to be ego warrior? Are you going to go to war, and are you going to pour your love and pour your energy into egoical false self things, or are you going to choose higher? Are you going to go to the level of sacred warrior, spiritual warrior? This is actually where I'm going to pour my love into. Are you going to choose your destiny path, right? Like your path forward? Are you going to choose false self, egoical trappings, right? The chasing money, chasing the big house, chasing what everybody says you want or what they all think you want versus what your soul wants. To me, and Gemini, right? Two sides of the coin. Like, which level are you going for? It's powerful and beautiful, right? Like such a beautiful energy to be working in. And I hope that this has given you some tools and some ways in and some things to think about. Again, I can't stress enough this workshop that we just did in membership. Even if you do 1 month of membership and check it out just to do this workshop, there's also a bonus in there, Nothing But Soul. It's a 3-part workshop. So even if you come and join for a month and hang out and do this particular Sacred Warrior workshop, that's in there for the month of December, and it's only there for the month of December, then it disappears. But you also get that 3-part Nothing But Soul series. And really and truly, if that doesn't move you up to Sacred Warrior, into soul purpose, I don't know. Like, someone should shoot me and tell me that I have no idea how to facilitate spaces like this, because they're very powerful and very potent. You're going to work in altered states of consciousness. You're going to get beneath the daily grind and I can't, all of those sorts of things, into deeper wisdom, into that, that still small voice within, that inner flame. Like, what is it that lights up your inner flame? That's another great question for this moment in time, is what is it that lights up your inner flame? This also, I'll leave you with this last little piece, is when it's a full moon, the sun and the moon are opposite. The sun is on the Great Attractor. The sun is 2 degrees off of the Great Attractor. So being in that place, the Great Attractor is something that has a great force to magnetize things into our lives, or literally vacuum things out of our lives. And so with a full moon, it's activating this Great Attractor, which amplifies our choices. It amplifies. And if we lean into true north, if we lean into soul self, lean into purpose, you have like the wind beneath your wings to really call in and to create and to manifest. That's Great Attractor. It's just amplified what we manifest, what leaves our lives, what comes into our lives, how we create. It amplifies creating a life that is soul aligned, that is heart aligned, creating a life that is who we are becoming in our highest purpose. Yeah, just that for this beautiful full moon. I send you so much love for it. If you like this video, you got something out of it, hitting the like button would be awesome. I read all of the comments for the first couple of days after a video comes out, and I love hearing from you all. So if there's something that you'd love to share, or you'd love to, I don't know, it's just really beautiful. And it's such a gift to be able to be with you all in that way. So if you feel to leave a comment, do that. If you haven't subscribed and you don't want to miss anything, hit the subscribe button. And that new moon video is something that you can watch next. We'll put it here, and we'll put it as the next video to watch after this, so you get the full lunation cycle. And I would go dive into the membership workshop, the Sacred Warrior workshop in Bones. It would be really beautiful to share that with you. All right. So much love to you, and a lot of full moon blessings.